Ah, is this sweet? I can't tell.
Alright, these are my 10 favorite albums of the year. We have another video that's going to be our 10 favorite songs, so watch that one, check it out. Because a lot of the songs a lot of the albums here that I have will be, some of the songs from these albums will be on there definitely. And, just watch the other video, just, be nice. Number 10, I have my 10th favorite album this year is an album that came out actually in 2012. It was redone, it performed live, like in a studio. So it's not like a live album in front of a crowd or anything. It's Between the Buried and Me. I have my notes here. Future sequence live at the Fidelatorium. Because I hope I pronounced that right, because I have it here. Just I didn't want to mispronounce it. It has some notes because I'm bad at remembering song names and stuff sometimes. I mean, I wanted to include this one just because I haven't listened to like a ton of stuff this year that I really felt like was necessary to put like in a top 10 albums, and I got like 10 albums that I really like, but I wanted to include this one. I had to put it at 10th because it did come out 2 years ago technically, and I was doing a live remake of it, whatever, but it's still really cool. Check it out. The number 9 album I have is Dear Youth from The Ghost Inside. At first I was kind of a bit indifferent on this album. I thought there was as much that I didn't like or that I couldn't have liked about it, stuff that potentially I could have disliked. There's the same amount of that. It was kind of 50-50 on what I could complain about and what I could like about it. But the more I've listened to it, the more it's really grown on me. Yeah, it's worthy of being in the top 10 albums, I think. But it's a quality Ghost Inside album, hardcore and whatnot. And I like how they changed up their writing styles and just kind of the slightest bits some ways. But yeah, still quality songs and whatnot. Number 8 album I have is Rooms of the House from the band La Dispute. It's just another quality album this band has put out, and I like how every song has this real message, a real theme to it. I mean, yeah, some songs you'll get, like almost every song, lyric-wise, will have some type of message, something that the singer, the band wants to say, or whatever, but there can be anything from just, talking about, songs are usually about love, or, with metal, it's like sometimes it's like killing stuff, or like, hating this or that, or whatever, and songs would be about, I don't know, different stuff, but a lot of their songs really have like a strong message to it, and great music to match it, great lyrics. But yeah, the first single they put out, Stay Happy There, that was probably my favorite song on the album, so check out that song. Probably The Ghost Inside, I would say my favorite song. Probably now I still like Avalanche. So like if you haven't listened to these albums and you're watching this video for whatever reason, you want to check out the albums but you don't want to listen to all of it or whatever, individual songs that could give you a good taste of the album. Number 6 I have Reverie Lagoon. I always just shorten it to that. The album title by the band Sea Haven. It's really, historically, from what I've listened to with music, it's really different and it's kind of weird, and it's very tuned down, like I don't know what it's called, like when you have like, because I always come up with stupid like associations, comparisons and things in my head for what I think about songs or albums. I always do that, like I can't help it, just different things I think of, like what to compare this album to. It's how I like associate things or whatever. It's dimming the lights, sort of like this album really dims the lights, and it's just relaxing, and it's not dark, but it's dimming the lights. It's really some like good laid back, like acoustic stuff here and there, and one of those kind of albums that are just really refreshing to listen to. Like Between La Dispute and Sea Haven, the albums that they put out this year are, pretty like a vacation for stuff to listen to. Here, On the Floor is probably my favorite song from this album. But again, listen to our favorite songs of the year so you can hear like more detailed why we like those songs, or whatever if you want to. Number 5 of the album, No Coast by the band Braid. Usually bands I listen to like whatever their newer stuff is, like their newest album that comes out if I just find them. There's another band that I just kind of stumbled into this year. Actually I went back and listened to the older stuff like Frame and Canvas and kind of worked my way up to this album. Even though it was out, I decided to do it the other way, go back and listen through everything. I've really been listening to a lot of their older stuff more, but I still feel like I've listened to this album enough and it warrants putting it into the top 10. It's fun to listen to. It's a really fun album and it's equally enjoyable. Some albums are, a lot more fun to listen to than you can enjoy it, but sometimes you're really enjoying the fun of the album and how much you truly enjoy the album and, relate to it, I guess. That it factor, sometimes isn't there as much as you just really have fun listening to it, but I feel like it balances out. It's a fun, poppy album to listen to, and at the same time, it's really enjoyable what the music is, for itself. Again, probably the title track, No Coast, is probably my favorite. It's really catchy. Number 4, I have Hold Still Life by the band Field Mouse. This album, I got it I ordered it and I got it 10 days ago, so December 10th, whenever this is uploaded. It's December 20th now. I was basically in the time frame of 10 days to listen to this album. And I've listened to it before, because I was going through Run for Cover Records, the same place that Braid is signed to now. They're releasing their new album and I found this band through that. And I started listening to them. I think the first song was Water in the Valley is the first song I got into from this band. I just kind of found them this year. A couple months ago. I've been meaning to order this album for a while, and I finally did. And it's really cool. It's in the same vein as Sea Haven. It's something different than what I've historically listened to, and it's kind of weird. Sometimes it doesn't feel right, not in a bad way. It just feels it's kind of out of my comfort zone a little bit, and not in the way that's just something completely weird and it's like some type of artistic styling that's really different and weird or whatever. It's just something that's, some of the songs it feels like this band, like they use synths and stuff, and the guitar stuff that they do, like leads and the whole ambient feeling and, the whole kind of feeling they set with all their songs. It feels like they're straight out of the 80s or 90s. But it's a really cool band to listen to. Probably, I'd say Water in the Valley is a good song to start with. I have a different song for my favorite song of the year, but I really like that song at first, and you might too if you want to listen to the band. But yeah, they really get you hooked on their music. Number 3, I have the Split. Actually, I probably would have put it at number 1 if I had like maybe 3 original songs each. But I had the Pity Sex Adventures Split. One band being Pity Sex, the other being Adventures. If you've never heard of them, it's a great kind of sampling of the band, like what their newer music is. Because that's what I always kind of envision Split as, or an EP. Just hey, we might be doing some new stuff, and this is just like a taste of it. And I thought it was a good sampling of each band. They each have one original song, they each have one cover. Pity Sex does a cover of the Pixies. Great choice. I thought they did Gigantic. Is I'm kind of torn between that and the Pixies original version of being my favorite rendition of the song, favorite performance of the song. The Adventures did a Turning Point cover. I thought it was kind of interesting. At first, it was probably the song I listened to least on the album. Like I would listen to the original Flowing Through, and listen to Acid Reflex from Pity Sex and the Pixies cover. The Turning Point cover is kind of the song I listened to the least on the album, and then it started to really grow on me, and more so and more so. It was just a really interesting, song choice. I like it. It's growing on me more and more. I like that they did that. It was a nice all around kind of sampling of what what they do, what they like to do, and everything. Yeah, it would probably be my number one if there weren't just like one original song each. But I like it that much to put it at number 3. Number 2, I have the album Charmer by the band Tiger's Jaw. It's like my number 7th album. Like at the halfway year point, we did our from like January to I think it was July. We did like our favorite albums from the first half of the year, and this made like number 7. And I listened to it, and that's kind of the extent. I listened to it and thought it wasn't half bad. I really haven't listened to like a ton of music. I don't listen to as much music as I used to. I'm kind of starting to now, that I guess because a lot of what I used to listen to kind of was getting stale a bit. So I tried to venture out and find some other bands. I mean, not everything's getting stale, but you like to move around, not stay in one place. But yeah, I'm starting to listen to, as I'm finding some of these newer bands and stuff. Because most of these bands, like Pity Sex Adventures, that wasn't in the first half of the year point because it came out in the second half of the year. But yeah, a lot of these bands like Field Mouse, Braid, who else here? Yeah, Pity Sex. And Adventures, because I saw them with Sea Haven earlier in the year. On the tour with the Foxing was there too. A lot of these bands I've just been getting into this year. But yeah, Tiger's Jaw actually kind of was a gateway band, getting into other bands like Pity Sex and stuff. And then from there, even my number 1 album of the year, that band. But yeah, and Sea Haven too. But like Tiger's Jaw and Sea Haven really helped me, led me into discovering a lot of these other bands. But Charmer is a really great album. At the halfway point, I just kind of listened to it. I liked it, and it wasn't too bad. But then, the difference that 6 months can make, I started listening to it a lot more, and I eventually ended up listening to it every day, for a while, for as often as I could. It was in my as daily as it gets, routine of listening to music, weekly routine, daily. But yeah, I started listening to this a lot. I think it was the first single they released, the Nervous Kids. I like that song off this album. Charmer, the title track, was really cool. I like the bass line is really catchy. It's like a good theme of the song. It's extremely catchy. Sounds kind of like 90s-ish, but yeah, it's really catchy. It's just a really solid album throughout all of it. Yeah, I would say definitely listen to Charmer off this album. I would say another song is going to be in my top 10 favorite songs of the year, but Charmer is a really good song, and it really kind of got me hooked on this band for a while. But yeah, they have a really solid album. My second favorite album of the year, barely getting beat out by the album Kingfisher by the band Prawn. I just got this album too. I ordered it with Field Mouse. It came December 10th, and I haven't listened to it. I don't want to say, it's not like I haven't listened to it, but I haven't listened to it as much as I've listened to it a few times through, or more than a few. But and I've been busy in the past week. I haven't been able to listen to it a ton, every single day, constantly listening to it. It's kind of how I like to do it with albums. I really like to listen to it constantly and, really just kind of experience it over and over again until it's kind of routine, But I've listened to it definitely enough. The only, bad thing I could think about kind of saying about this album, it's still my number 1. It kind of doesn't matter. Because I like it, it's so enjoyable, is that, I don't want to say blend, but they use the same vocal patterns, the way he kind of sings things, the way, like the way a song might go. You know, it's similar sometimes in certain songs, but even if it's not exactly the same, but you'll kind of feel like maybe I heard that earlier, but at the same time, maybe I didn't. But that's like a small complaint, because I mean the album itself is just absolutely terrific. It's one of the best albums that I've listened to, like, since we've started reviewing stuff on the, like, since I've started reviewing stuff on this channel. Like, every year we come up with our favorite albums and everything. I would probably put this in my top 10 favorite albums since we've started doing top 10 favorite albums. It would be way up there. It's just such a... It's like when I listen to this band, I start to hear, like, other bands, whether this band sounds like them or they sound like this band. Like, sometimes I'll kind of hear Transit, a band that I haven't listened to them in a while, but like, I used to listen to them a lot, like that kind of style. At the same time, like I probably like Death Cab for Cutie, like that indie pop kind of indie rock sort of stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of this, I don't know how to say. Like, at the same time, the band that I just saw, like not saw, but like heard of recently, they're on some like video game show, 65 Days of Static. That too, like, I kind of hear these different elements of these bands, and a lot of these songs are really, really calming, really nice to listen to, and so enjoyable. And like, I put this album on, and you know, it's like right away it kind of gets you. Like, it has a decent variety too. Like, some of the songs, it's not like all just like slow, the same stuff. Some songs are a bit more upbeat, some of them are more laid back, some are kind of sad, some are kind of happy. You know, it's a nice variety, while at the same time it kind of sounds contradicting that I say some of the songs sound similar, but that's like a small thing. Like, for the most part, like, the album feels nice and different while you're listening to it, and you know, it's a nice experience. That's like the best thing about an album, when you can say it's more of like an experience than just listening to it, you know. And yeah, I would say for the song for this album, probably like, I don't know, Glass Irony. That's not too bad. The song is like kind of upbeat. It's pretty good. But yeah, it's a different song than what I have in my top 10 favorite songs. But still, check this album out. It's really good. Listen to all these albums if you want, or the songs I gave you. Yeah, my favorite 10 albums of the year. See you later.